it, and if we throw high percentage passes to keep the clock going and make them use their timeouts. Tony threw a pass on what we call it a smoke or a flash is something we have accompanying some runs if he gets a bad look, and that's what happened on the interception. It was a run call though that he threw the ball on.
How many of the other plays were run calls if you were trying to run out the clock?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Given what was Beasley on the last pick, did he cut the route off?
There was a miscommunication just on how he was going to run that route. I think he and Tony just weren't on the same page with how they played the defense, and he ran up and ran out, and Tony was a little out in front of him with the ball.
What were they doing to take away the run? You had such a big lead, and Murray got off early, and there was lack of runs second half.
Yeah, the whole game they played their safeties down, what we call single high defense, extra guys in the box. So that's why we're able to throw the ball so well. And we tried to do some things with motion to move the safety and run away from the safety when they were playing those 8-man fronts and those unfavorable run boxes. And that's why we were successful being able to run the football. At different times in the second half, we probably could have run the ball more, but we were having some success throwing it. Did have a couple of drives where we went incomplete, and weren't able to convert on third down, which would certainly hurt us. But we wanted to maintain an aggressive mentality throughout the ball game, and we wanted to mix run and pass, and we'll go back and evaluate and see how well we did that.
Given the opportunity you were presented with Philadelphia losing and having a 23-point lead, how disappointed are you in being unable to sustain?
Oh, disappointing loss. There's no question about that. Independent of what anybody else does around the league, we focus on what we do, and we played very well in the first half and gave ourselves a great opportunity to win this ball game by how well we played early, and then we didn't play well in the second half. It's as simple as that. We didn't get stops on defense. We didn't sustain enough drives on offense. We kicked too many field goals, and ultimately they made the plays and we didn't. They created 2 takeaways late in the ball game that were significant in the outcome of the game. And when you do that and you're not making stops on defense, they're going to convert them into points, and those plays hurt us.
The aggressive mentality is part and parcel to the problems on defense. You felt you needed to stay aggressive because you couldn't stop them?
Absolutely, we need to stay aggressive. There's no question about that. You also want to be smart. You're always balancing, putting your players in the best position possible, but empowering them, with what you call on offense and on defense. And they made plays. They did. We did a good job early on in the ball game, bottling up the run and making plays on the outside. But they started to run the ball much better, and they made some plays to their outside receivers as this game wore on. And we couldn't get the stops when we needed them, and we didn't do enough on offense to score enough points to win this ball game.
On the next
Cowboys blow a 23-point second-half lead to the Green Bay Packers. Bigger story this week. Tony Romo, 2 picks in the fourth quarter. Des Bryant walking off the field.
Des Bryant walking off the field. They're going to make it the biggest story. The bigger story should be the 2 picks.
Exactly.
First of all, you throw 2 picks.
Prime. Because 2 picks happen sometimes in the fourth quarter.
Not to the same guy.
People don't walk off the field.
They did.
Yeah.
Twice in my whole life I've seen that, and that can't happen.
Yeah, it can't happen, but we're talking about the biggest story. What will actually be the biggest story? It's going to be Des Bryant. But it should be, why are you throwing the ball anyway? Why are you throwing the ball anyway?
Did he say it was an audible from a run?
Why would you audible, as a quarterback, why would you audible from a run to a passing play? You have the propensity to mess it up at this point in the game, and you're going to put yourself in that situation. Not only that, your team, and you see what happens. Enough is enough of this.
He's not thinking about messing it up. I mean,
yes, he is.
No, he doesn't.
Tony doesn't
think
like that.
Yes, he is.
What'd you say?
You think he thinks like that?
You think he does, but
I don't think he thinks like that. I think he has that gunslinger mindset that he's going to chunk it and he's going to try to squeeze it into tight coverage. And sometimes when he evades the rush and he extend plays, Tony Romo, that's what he does. He throws it an errant pass that he thinks he can complete that pass, and it gets intercepted. But to your point, why throw the ball anyway? 18 carries, 134 yards for DeMarco Murray. Guys, that's 7.5 yards per carry.
Right.
Why do you need to throw it? Why?
Yeah.
Mooch?
Well, that's when you start really feeding that guy the ball, let him close the game out. And so this is a total
Is it arrogance? Is it arrogance by the staff if they think they can just keep going, just stepping on the accelerator? I mean,
Jason Garrett just told you the quarterback called an audible.
But that was on one play.
Pass.
That was on one play. But they were up 23 points.
We don't know if that was on one play.
You don't want to have your quarterback throw 2 picks in the fourth quarter when you have a lead, certainly, that's for sure. You don't want to have a guy walk off the field. That's awful. Yeah. And you don't want to have your defense give up 34 points in the second half either. This is a total team collapse, and it's mind-boggling how the Dallas Cowboys can look so good at times and so poor at times. I don't get it.
I don't remember when they looked so good at times.
The first half, they were terrific.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's move on to a team that could twice in the fourth quarter. Here's the Cowboys QB.
I think if you play long enough, you have plenty of, big wins, tough losses. This one's obviously a tough one. We were in position to have a chance, obviously, to win the game, and we didn't get it done.
Can you talk about the last throw to Cole? Did he sit? Did you think he was going outside? What was the miscommunication? Was there a miscommunication there? Or?
Yeah, I threw it. He ended up cutting his route off, and I threw it as if he was continuing to go to the sideline. So we'll get that right. We'll go back and assess the whole process and get it right.
The next to last sequence on offense, when you had a 5-point lead and threw the interception to Shields.
Yeah.
Was that a run call that you changed to a pass?
It's a run call that we have. We'll have it up 3 to 5, 6 times a game where you'll throw the ball because you get a bad look into the run. And, at that specific time, obviously, when I look back now, you should run the ball because you throw an interception. And, you shouldn't, ever give them a chance to have the ball. So we got to get better. I got to do better than that. And, it's tough.
What did you see there that?
Well, they overloaded the side we were gonna run the ball to, and I ended up throwing to the man who was one-on-one, and the defensive end did a real good job coming in on me instead of following the tackle down, which usually ends up happening. So it's my fault for obviously putting the ball in a position where the defense could make a play.
Tony, Coach Garrett talked about you guys watching.
Job of protecting the ball in that situation, and I didn't do a good enough job of that tonight, and I will next time.
14 passes, just 3 runs in the last quarter for the Cowboys. So a 23
when you're winning big.
Oof, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. Romo 2 picks. Des Bryant walks off the field with $1:20 to go. You're going to be our Dallas correspondent this week.
I'm good with that, because you're going to get the truth. I promise you that.
All right. Once again, we'll be here. Game day final.